on the gram. Good morning. Welcome to Social Surge with Fly and Mo. Just waiting to see if we're going to pop into the gram. Maybe? Oh, we are live. Are you live on yours? So you have to hit the go live button on your...
No, I know. It's connected. It says check in real time. Check in real time. It says connect streaming software to go live. So I'm not currently getting a feed from StreamYard on this stream key. Which is and I can tell you exactly why that happened is because I accidentally X'd out and then it generated a new stream key. So
oh no. Okay. We'll figure it out.
I learned. What's up, everybody?
Welcome, everybody, to Social Surge with Fly and Mo. And today we are talking about your unhinged and chaotic feed on the social platforms. Good morning, Regalado Real Estate. Thanks for joining us over on the gram. We're actually happy that you can see us because we got a message from StreamYard saying, hey, we're having issues on Instagram. And I was like, great.
There's always something. We have to stay resilient. We have to stay flexible.
Good morning, Santa Maria Dev, that's joining us over on the gram. We are talking about your unhinged and chaotic feed, particularly.
Bro.
I know, right? Okay, so after you had mentioned that you were seeing stuff from like 4 weeks ago, my LinkedIn feed is so it's stuff I haven't seen clearly, though I think I have seen some, and I swear I've engaged with the content because there's people that I always engage with, right? But like there's stuff from like 3-4 weeks ago that's showing up on my LinkedIn feed now that I'm just like, didn't I already engage with this? Didn't I already like do stuff with this? So I'm re-engaging with it because like I want the algorithm to pick up that yes, I'm engaging. But
sure.
At the same time, too, it's just like, wait a minute. What's happening? What's happening?
Yeah, so I have the feed that everybody is experiencing now has been my feed for some time. And I don't know why that is.
Really?
But yeah, and I used to think that it was just because I'm literally on LinkedIn all day. I'm literally on LinkedIn all day. And so like the rate I'm consuming content, Link is like, oh, we gotta give her some more.
Well, I've noticed that on like on my desktop when I'm on LinkedIn for like all day, like I'll get to the end of the feed and it's like, yeah, nope, you're done. Good morning from Denver. Wire through, thanks for joining us on the gram.
Oh, I love it.
Philip watching the Mo Fly show.
The Mo Fly show. Mo Fly Mo. FOMO Mo.
Hi, Mo.
Elite inside joke is FOMO. If you don't know what FOMO is, that's fear of missing out. And so FOMO is fear of missing out on Mo.
There you go.
We have. But so yeah, and I have been having the same thing where it's like I'm seeing content that I swear I've already seen. And
not even that, it's content that I swear I've already engaged with.
Yeah.
That's the, like, so like I'm seeing stuff and then I'm like, I thought I already engaged with it. I thought I already commented. And now I'm wasting time going through to make sure that I haven't already commented on the content.
Well, it's interesting. It is interesting to me because it does reveal a little bit about our behavior in this way, in the sense of like, sometimes you will tag me and stuff too. And I don't like, I see the notification, I look at the thing and then I just don't press like, or I don't comment or something. And so, and
you
so
are dead to me. Dead to me.
I know, it's so bad. And especially anytime anybody tags me in something, I'm like, I need to comment right away so that it don't tank the algorithm, right? Because remember, if you tag somebody directly in the body of your post, if they don't engage with it, the algorithm's like, oh, we don't want to. Algorithms like, we don't want to make it weird. So
we're like, it's okay. We're already here. We're already making it weird.
But once again, like, we don't even realize sometimes what we're doing in the sense of like not engaging, liking, sharing, seeing things. And then you also like, you have no idea who's actually looking at your content because people do not always engage. I get messages from people, texts from people, or just talking to people in person, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I love that." And I'm like, "Really? You saw that? I had no idea you saw that," right? Because they don't
actually, they're lurkers.
This is a very interesting point. Philip says, hopefully it's a way LinkedIn is trying to filter out the bots. That is interesting.
So one of my challenges with bots on LinkedIn is the fact that you can tell it's a bot that's commenting or responding because all they do is give you the TLDR version of the post in the comment. And it's like, why are we wasting time with this? Like, I want actual engagement.
Right.
Good morning, Rick, for joining us over on the gram. We are talking about LinkedIn and the unhinged and chaotic mess of a For You page that we've got going on right now.
But, actually, what you just said is extremely important, because now what we have is a feed that is not being pushed out just by time, as opposed to, I mean, and like, very interesting correlations to be drawn between how Facebook started, how Facebook is now, and when people deprioritize time. And this is very good for this reason. Sorry,
No. I just for reference, we're talking about chronological feed. So when Facebook first came out, it was a chronological feed. So you saw whoever posted the latest, right? That's what you saw. And also, may I add that LinkedIn also has two feeds. You have your top feed, that, like, those are the top posts, and then you have, I forget what the other one is. But there's two feeds. So you can choose which feed you're on. And in fact, actually, I should probably go look and see what feed I'm on.
I'm looking right now.
I don't know which feed. I think it's recent, right? Top post and recent.
Yeah.
So you actually have two separate feeds. And sometimes I usually stick, I was using the recent feed, and then I was like, I don't like this content. I was like, I don't like it. So I'm going to go back to top post. So that is a huge change, but I know, Fly, you have something that you want to, because you gave me some great stuff yesterday. So run with it.
The novel of a text message I sent at 10:30 p.m. Well, it feels chaotic because it's a huge shift. I do not look, and yeah, recent. And I see a lot of people talking about this on LinkedIn in the same way that people talk about, like, AI and the M dash, and just like, people kind of giving their commentary on what's going on in the app. And one thing I have noticed from a lot of the accounts that are talking about this kind of stuff, in not just necessarily in this space, but in all spaces, is like, people are speculating a lot about what's happening. Is it staying? Is it going to go away? Why are they doing this? Or, like, what is the impact going to be? And when I see things like that, and I think about that, I think a lot about how Bob Knackle, BK, talks about when there's something going on in your sphere, in your block, in your market, right? Like, my market is LinkedIn. This is my block. Very LinkedIn heavy show today, obviously. But it's just like, you just have to look at what's actually happening, and don't try to predict, and just look at what's in front of you. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So
let me jump in and say, this is also where you have to have some sort of a strategy, right? Yes. And you have to know that the algorithm is numbers. It's plus and minuses based on your behavior and the behavior of your circle, and everything gets weighted. And the only time we've really seen a really good explanation of what that looks like is a couple years ago, maybe it was last year, X came out and actually showed you how they weighted each response. Right.
And even that has changed since then.
Oh my gosh, it's changed so much since then.
So really all that I can say about, what's actually happening is, like, objectively, is that your posts now have an extremely longer shelf life. And that is an extremely good thing for the lifespan of the post. Because when we think about, it, like, you can even compare it to X, like the sort of like time that's in play in the feed is a lot shorter because of the speed of the app, because of the way that app prioritizes content, even if it has a for you, or, like the for you versus following, like if unless it gets commented on or reposted or something, like, people will have to dig for that stuff. And so the fact that LinkedIn now is so heavily pushing content from, and again, it is content that it wants you to see, and it wants you to see it because of the feedback that you've given it, specifically in who you're engaging with, who you're liking, who you're saving, who you're sharing, etc. And so what this actually tells me is that the platform is becoming way more responsive to engagement in a level that I am seeing reflected in the feed in a much, much more immediate way. Case in point, person I have never talked to commented on one of my posts. I responded to that comment. I clicked into their profile. We're connected, and now, like, my feed yesterday was like 50% him.
Yeah,
seeing
right.
all that stuff.
Right, because you and I think it's almost those first interactions, right? Because, like, okay, so trotting out Bob again, but like, again, I was on my feed yesterday and I saw a post from him 3 weeks ago that I was like, I thought I'd already interacted with this one. Two, like, I'm not seeing as much of him in my feed as I'm seeing my newer connections, which is kind of I'm glad that you brought that up, because it, like, light bulb moment. I was like, oh, yes, those people that I'm starting to connect with now, I'm seeing more of their content on my feed than my older connections. So to me, what that means is that I need to actually go actively search out my older connections to make sure that they're staying in my feed, which goes along with everything that we tell people on Twitter, whatever, X, Instagram, any of the for you. So it seems, let me get my thoughts. It seems to me that LinkedIn sounds like they're making the for you page the most recent post, or the top posts, however you have that feed set up, acting more like the other social platforms.
Very true. It's exactly that. And I do think that, once again, what I'm seeing being rewarded, because then we have people, I see people complaining like, oh, my recent stuff isn't getting engagement. And then I see other people being like, I don't have any impact. And I do believe that the difference is entirely in the other behaviors that they're doing on the app. So if you are somebody who actively responds, to comments on your own content, if you're somebody who is actively engaging with other people's posts, the way that you are showing up to people is going to be completely different than if you post and ghost. Like, if you're just like doing the billboard thing, right? I'm just going to like smack my screen. Don't do this. And again, incredibly strong argument for a couple of things. One is, again, you need to go in and curate your content. You need to unfollow and be disinterested in topics that are not interesting to you. You need to start teaching it that. And what Mo just said as well, if there's somebody that you want to be connected with and to stay engaged with for whatever reason, and you're not seeing them in your feed, like, go intentionally engage with them, connect with them, look at them.
Get them back on your feed. Yeah.
Get them absolutely back on your feed. And you want to know what? Once again, people talk about hacking the algorithm. I don't care about this kind of stuff. What we're actually talking about is, if you have a connection with somebody in real life and you are not nurturing that relationship through communication, seeing them for coffee, texting them, whatever it is that is the bulk of that relationship in real life. If you don't do that, that relationship is going to decay. You're going to become disconnected from each other. That is actually just what the algorithm is doing.
I'm only laughing because the way Faraz and I stay connected is sending each other cat memes on Instagram.
I love that. I love that so much.
it's like all of a sudden it's like I'll get a little treat inside my DMs, my Instagram DMs, and it's Faraz posting a couple cat memes, and then of course, yeah, it's fantastic.
So Marcy, I think what Marcy Moneypenny is referencing is my laugh reward. So I have a rule that if you make a comment on one of my posts, it has to be on one of my posts. If you in a comment on one of my posts make me actually laugh out loud, I will send you something in the mail, and it's called the laugh reward. And the entire purpose of that little like fun thing that I do is to encourage people to and also open up a space for people to be themselves in a way that this app doesn't traditionally or hasn't historically valued, which is in humor.
Right. And so one of the things I wanted to, so one of the points that you made last night, because you're talking about this right now, meeting them for coffee, connecting offline, is that we have to start moving these relationships off platform, right? So when we're talking off platform, I'm not just talking about like actually meeting them in real life, but if you look at like Fly and I connect on email, text, phone call, FaceTime. Well, not FaceTime. She doesn't have FaceTime, but Zoom. Like we connect in different in different ways, right? We have taken it off of the platforms so that we are always having a continuous conversation. Same goes for Allison Weiss. We're on multiple platforms, but we're also texting each other. You know, I can't say we're FaceTiming each other. What we are doing is we'll have like an Instagram.
It's because I don't have an iPhone and I'm a pariah.
We'll have an Instagram call. But the thing is we're taking it off platform. So how are you taking these relationships and nurturing them off of these platforms? And what are you doing with that? And one of the things that Beth Azor says is coordinate the uncoordinated. Ooh. So put together, I mean, we see Bethany Babcock do it. Daniel Harrell does it. They're creating these communities outside of the platforms. They're meeting for coffee. They're going to cigar bars. They're meeting for lunch. And they're having like these real world connections. And it doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be a gala, right? It doesn't have to be strip mall guy gala size. It can be a group of 10 to 15 folks who just want to meet up and connect that work in commercial real estate. So how are you nurturing these relationships off of the platforms?
I love this. I love this.
Well, thank you. It's all your ideas. You sent them to me.
No, it's just because I literally can't sleep at night because I'm thinking about LinkedIn. It's a little nerdy, but it's a dirty job, but somebody's got to do it, right?
Okay. So, yeah, next.
So this is also something that I think needs to be considered in response to this particular version of how LinkedIn is dispersing content. It is an incredible opportunity if you have the right things in place, if you are using LinkedIn to prospect and to build relationships, to develop business, is that if somebody connects with you or they see you in a comment or any of these things, case in point, this guy that I now was like on my feed yesterday. It is a guaranteed way in this version, maybe not guaranteed is strong, but it is highly probable that if you connect with someone that your content is going to get pushed to them. Yep. Incredible argument for having a consistent, steady stream of content coming out from your profile as an opportunity to show people what you're all about. Now, for different people in different sections of this industry, prospecting looks different, business relationship development looks different, all of these things. And like for me, again, it all comes back down to building the relationship, nurturing the relationship, actually trying to create real connections as opposed to just like wheeling and dealing and whiling and the dialing, But the fact that if somebody connects with you and you're going to get pushed into their feed, like what on earth are they going to see?
That's true. Yeah, it's a very different feel on LinkedIn right now. And I think people need to be very cognizant of how they are reacting on the platform. And that being said, also, like, your mobile platform totally different than your desktop platform.
Oh yeah.
Which is very strange to me, but like very, very different. And that's actually where I find where I'm on mobile and I make those reactions and I don't think they're sticking. So I don't know if that's a glitch.
Interesting.
Or if it's just like maybe I'm not holding my finger long enough. I don't know. But
I genuinely know that I am getting things from people that I regularly follow and interact with that I haven't seen.
okay.
Case in point, Allison Weiss 2 weeks ago posted about her her custom GPT to help with LinkedIn bios and headlines.
I just saw your comment on that.
Yeah, I did not, like, 100%. If I had seen that 2 weeks ago, I would have been like, burr, burr, send it my way, girl.
Right.
And I didn't. And that was actually really what set this off for me yesterday, was the fact that Allison had posted something. It was totally a banger. It was a great resource for people. And I had no idea it was there.
Right. Yeah. It's a very strange, I don't know. It's frustrating when people come to you for answers because they want to know like what's going on. And it's like, okay, well, anecdotally, this is what I can tell you. Research through everything that LinkedIn puts out is not providing us anything other than we know that they are trying to compete with the other socials. And I make this joke continuously, but your social platforms are like Hotel California. You can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave, right? Like, the platforms want you on continuously and they want you always feeding the beast, right? And getting that little dopamine rush every time somebody reacts to you or comments and then you comment back. So I don't want to say it's the gamification of LinkedIn, but it's potentially the gamification of LinkedIn is what we're seeing. The more you respond, the more you get rewarded. And of course, that's the psychology of everything. Like, ooh, I got rewarded. Ooh, I got another one, right? It's important to note, though, that the conversations that you're having online need to happen offline as well, right? They all start somewhere, and hopefully they're starting in your DMs, they're starting in your comment section, and then you're moving it offline because we never know what's going to happen with the platforms. We have, case in point, we have TikTok, who allegedly is going to be purchased by a group of wealthy investors, according to Trump. Who knows? But we have until, I think it's September 7th, to figure out what's going on with the platform. If you've invested all in one platform, if all of your eggs are in the LinkedIn basket and all of a sudden LinkedIn dies tomorrow, what are you going to do? Where are these people? How are you going to connect with them? Are they in your CRM? Are you sending out emails? Are you, sending them important information? Are you connecting with them via text or call? So those are some of the things that you need to think. These are some of the things I think about. Like, what happens if the platform dies? What does that look like for, my business? What does that look like for me? But how are you creating these connections? And I think, especially in larger metro areas, you could probably set up a coffee whatever. Or I live in Spokane, man. Like, there's what am I gonna do? Like,
I'm gonna fly there. We're gonna have coffee.
You and Allison, we have space for you. Already told you. Got the bunk beds. Just saying.
And also here's a pro tip. When you then are having those conversations happen off of LinkedIn, you document it and you turn it back into content.
It's circle of life.
It's the circle of life.
All right.
I'm just feeling really good because I just sang and that was awful. But I really like people are really frustrated. I think it's very exciting because of the fact that means that if you are building intentional relationships with people on this app, you are way more likely to see their content. the flip side of that is if you are not using this or any app intentionally, you're going to lose control of what you're seeing and how people are seeing you. That's it. I mean, that's it.
So Marcy says it reminds me of biz dev back in the day. It used to be all about what we could do, yes, for a prospective client. Then the aha moment, it should be about them. Yep, that's exactly. So when we're talking about content, when we're talking about what you're creating for social, and I'm kind of taking this a little bit, but think about story brand, and the story brand is you are the guide, and your client, your customer is the hero. You are helping your hero be the main character energy of the story. It's not about you. So like when I go to somebody's website and it's all about them, I'm like, what happened to the customer? What happened to the client? How are you helping them? Because all this tells me is that this is about you, and I don't understand what you do as a client, as a customer. I don't understand that. It's the same thing with social. How are you going to guide your prospective clients, your whatever, through the process? How are you going to help them out? Before we leave, though, because we're coming up on time, you have a question from Miss Marcy Moneypenny.
I do.
Yes.
And I want to continue this conversation on Thursday. But Marcy sent, and again, we're open for questions. DMs are open. Send us the questions. Marcy wanted to get our opinion on LinkedIn Premium. I love seeing your face in response to this question.
Okay, so I agree with what you said. I had this conversation yesterday. Somebody asked me, and I said, like, are you going to be prospecting?
To be clear, what I said was, if you are prospecting, it is great because of the lift in limitations that it has on specific activities that would be important to prospecting. Right. And then also to access specific data about people, about companies, about things, right? But if you're not aggressively using this platform for prospecting and social selling, and you should go read Fanatical Prospecting by Jeb Blount if you haven't. If that is not something that you're going super hard on in this app, I would say save your money for something else.
Yeah, absolutely. And as a note, like, I agree with you 100%, because it's just like people are asking me, they're like, what do you think? I'm like, all right, if you're going to be using Sales Navigator, if you're going to be using those things because that's a part of your marketing strategy and you know how to use it, then absolutely spend your money on it. But for the lay person, for most of us who are just on here, like creating connections and community, I don't see it's a waste.
Accessing the specific data, having more ability to send messages to people that you're not already connected with. The number of connection requests that you can send in a week, right? And then, and I was looking at it again, thinking about other things that I utilized when I'll get it for a few months, and then I don't, and then I have it for a few more months, and I don't. You know what I mean? It's just it's just dependent, kind of like seasonal, depending on the needs of the business. I haven't had a need for Sales Navigator, but I will say that one of the things that you do get access to when you pay for a premium plan is that LinkedIn does have native education in all kinds of things, right? And so if you are considering, and we're going to talk more about this on Thursday in terms of like different tools that are part of our stack, different tools that people use, what's the value of them, should you pay for them, like what do people actually need, right? So we're going to kind of look at that. But whether it's with LinkedIn Premium or with anything, like you need to look specifically at what your goals are, what the actions you are taking to reach those goals, and if having a LinkedIn Premium subscription aligns and empowers you to do that more and better.
Yeah, you just reminded me that LinkedIn years ago bought lynda.com, which was a learning platform, great learning platform. However, I will say this, most of your local libraries will have access to the learning platform. And so you can actually access it through your library card. I have to talk to your library about that. but for the most part, they do have access to it. So if you really wanted to have access to that LinkedIn Learning, which is a premium feature, check to see if your library has it, because that's
100%. And again,
you don't want to spend the money and you want to go to the library.
One of the interesting things, this is the last thing I'll say, and we should dig into this more on Thursday, is it's like,
I'll make a note.
Very different than paying for X, for example. I definitely pay for X. I recommend paying for X. And a part of the reason is because of the way that it changes the way that your content shows up in the feed. Like a singular one being, you on X, your posts will show up longer, as opposed to having it truncated in the feed. And that is just one example. I do not see a benefit to paying for LinkedIn specifically for a organic content forward strategy.
Correct.
I would say that LinkedIn premium tools are specifically serving people who are doing social selling in a very specific way.
Yep, outreach. If that is part of your strategy, is you are trying to connect with as many business owners as possible. And if you're one of the people that spams the DMs, shame on you, because that's not the way you're supposed to do it. You should actively create a relationship through comments first before you slip into their DMs. But running to the library. Yes.
Library. Yes. Library. God, love your local library, for real. I'm not even going to get started on how local libraries saved my life. I'm not even going to get started on that, because we need.
So before we take off, like real quick, I was the social media manager for our local library system here.
That's so cool.
For 3 years. Yeah, for 3 years. And so talking about all the programs, like I got excited about all the different programs that they offer. And it's your library card is free. And a lot of them you can access online. Like there's one that we have here. It's called, I think they still have it. It's called Creative Bug. And you can go in and access this entire library of learning about doing crafts. And it's just absolutely amazing. So during COVID, that was huge. Like I utilized the crap out of that, because I was like, I have a kid here that I need to keep entertained. How the hell am I going to do that? Like there's only so many, there's only so many episodes of SpongeBob that I can watch. So anyway, we're going to be talking about Tech Stack on Thursday. What we use, what we think you should use, what you should pay for, and what you should just be like, it's okay. If you want to pay for it, you pay for it. I hope everybody has a great day. Thank you, Fly, for joining me today. And thank you, everybody else on the Gram fam, LinkedIn, X. You are all amazing. Have a great day. Bye.